Well, if it's Friday morning, it is the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. Hello, I'm Steve Casillo. I'm your host. Hope you had a great St. Patrick's Day and you're not blurry-eyed this morning. It is, today we're talking about you, the consumer. And today we're talking about health and wellness. And look who's here. Dr. Joseph Adams. Welcome back to About Mansfield.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
What's the good word for today?
Oh wow, man! I think it's gonna be a beautiful day, man. I'm excited. Weather's been good, and I'm excited to see the festivities here in Mansfield.
That's right. You are in the thick of downtown.
Yeah,
Is the parade for those who have been living under a rock? Tonight starts the festivities. Tomorrow is the Mansfield. Let's give it its proper title: the world's only pickle parade and palooza.
yeah.
Okay. Does it go by your office?
I'm not sure if they're actually gonna do the parade like in front of our office, but it's definitely very close to the actual parade route and where the festivities are gonna be.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Go downtown, watch the parade. Parade starts at 1:00 tomorrow, Saturday, and go say hi to Dr. Joseph Adams from Calibration Chiropractic and Functional Health. Let's go back, if we will, because we're doing this series on migraines. Let's go back and do a quick recap of the triggers, and then we're going to focus on a trigger that we have not focused yet. If I recall, the triggers are nutritional, physical,
Yep,
okay, and I think the next one that we're going to focus on is neurological.
correct. Yep,
Okay, see,
you got it, man.
I'm
You got
learning.
it. Yeah.
This is one of the things that I love about my job is that I get to learn. And 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, I knew nothing about migraines, and now it's okay. Nutrition, and physical. All right, let's talk about neurological. Let's shoot. The mic is yours. Let's talk about neurological aspects of a migraine.
Yeah. So just to review, you got it. You mentioned the nutrition, you mentioned the structural causes or the physical, and then there's hormones, which we're going to talk about in the future episodes. But neurological is one that is near and dear to my heart, being a chiropractor, but also having a degree in neuroscience, because neurological is the one that I get to help with a lot. And a lot of people who have migraines obviously have neurological problems because it is a neurological disease. It's a neurological disease that doesn't ever really go away. It can only just be managed because these patients that suffer with true migraines actually have a neurological deficit, if you will. And so we train that in office. And so some of the things that you may notice if you have migraines that could be contributing to your disorder is that you're just more sensitive.
Yeah.
It's that more sensitive. So the typical migraine patient is sensitive to stimuli, right? We all have all this stimulus coming into our brains at all times. Like I'm sitting here and I've got a light in front of me, right? That light, is making sure that I look good on camera. But then I've got this screen right here in front of me, right? And then with your image on it coming in, and I have all the residual light here, and I have the noises coming in, and so all that stimulation of the senses, migraineurs can't really handle that stimulation or too much stimulation. So they probably do feel that they are sensitive to a degree. They just maybe have not ever put a word to it, if you will, or named it that way. So it's a really good way to think about the condition overall. Very sensitive brains and nervous systems.
Okay. And so the overstimulation, it could be light, it could be sound. Okay. Going through the rest of the senses, touch, something that's
Yeah.
maybe too hot or maybe too cold will set off. I don't. What do you
Yeah, I
think?
like where you're going with this. This is a great way to think about it, right? Because you can have a sensitivity to blue light because we all, well, I don't want to say we all know, as I say, like a lot of us practitioners understand now, especially in the optometry world, you start to see all these blue light blocking lenses. Like they're putting blue light blocking um, filters into prescription lenses now because they realize that blue light is very stressful for your brain.
Huh.
And so that's a trigger for migraineurs and people just in stress dominance in general, especially if you're sitting from a computer all day long and you don't have blue light reduced on your screens, you're stressing your brain out. That's a trigger for migraineurs. That's a way that they can be sensitized. And then sound is another one as well because the sound systems, the in your brain, the sight systems in your brain, they sit kind of in the stress center of your brain.
Yeah.
And so that's a trigger area in the brainstem. And so somebody who has migraines may want to reduce any type of sound pollution to ease the burden of migraines. And then, like you said, touch, could be one, but I would flip it a little bit and say not necessarily like what they touch should be sensitive to, but they can be sensitive when they are touched, right? And so
Ah, okay.
many migraineurs report that they have a very sensitive neck to the touch,
Okay.
stiff and sensitive.
And you mentioned that one when you were talking about the device
Mhm.
that you reach, the muscle that's in the back of the neck would be one of the touch points.
Yep. So yeah, the SOT muscles up here are usually very tender to the touch. And that's just because they have an abnormal sensory sensory in this area. Basically, the studies have shown that their sensory is just off in the neck. So we got sight, we've got our hearing, we've got their perception to touch, and then smells. That's one that's actually pretty common. I
That
think
was the
you
next
maybe
one I
you've
was going to
heard of
bring
that.
up. So if it comes to a smell that someone doesn't care for, is that a trigger?
Yes, so that actually is one that's a pretty common trigger I hear. People will be like, "Yeah, if I'm walking through like Dillard's in the perfume section, I get a migraine, right?" Or like just
Oh,
trigger.
I
Yeah,
never thought about that. I thought maybe
yeah,
fresh cut grass, which is actually a pleasant smell, but
yeah,
to
yeah. Think
most.
of the harsh stuff, the harsh chemical smells. That's usually the stuff that does it. Anything that's just really strong can trigger a migraine. And so those are the more well known about ones. I don't know of anything with taste per se, but I wouldn't be surprised if. No, I take that back. I have had people say that, like certain cold, like if they were to eat ice cream and if you had a
Hmm.
migraine disorder, it could possibly trigger an event. So I've heard some interesting ones with taste. One that I want to bring up that's really common that no one really ever thinks about is the vestibular system, which is your balance system that's behind the ears here. That one is a very common one. So people can have very sensitive balance centers and or balance centers that aren't working appropriately. And that can kind of throw their balance off and cause a feeling of like unsteadiness, not necessarily dizziness. And that is a very specific type of dysfunction we see a lot and work with a lot.
Is that what happens when, for instance, you've been swimming, you get a little water in the ear, and it throws off your balance? Is it?
That is a possibility for sure. Yeah, that is affecting the same system because not only do you have hearing up here, but you also have balance here. These are like a dual purpose nerve here in the ear.
All right. So let's recap the neurological aspects of a migraine, and they do basically involve all five senses.
Yeah,
The
yeah. There's more, and there's more. That's the thing is it's like all five senses plus. There's actually this balance component, which is a sixth sense, if you will, and all of them are sensitized in a migraine patient because the region of the brain where all these nerves come into in the brain stem here, that area is heightened and sensitive. And basically, as a practitioner, we have to work on turning that down.
Gotcha. Gotcha. If someone had more questions about migraines or uh, chiropractic practice, if someone had questions about Dr. Joseph Adams, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, you can find us online at calibrationchiropractic.com. We're also on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We're pretty available on the internet. And if anybody has any questions, we'd love to just, chat.
Let's do this again next week.
All right. Sounds good, buddy.
Enjoy the parade, and thanks for being on About Mansfield.
We will. Take care.